Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I'm your host, Ross Pitt, Shark Hunter, and with me here today, as always, is my co-host, Wizzy Puff. Say hello, Wizzy.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. So, what's the deal with airline food?
Wizzy, you dumb motherfucker. Airlines don't actually have food.
What?
Yeah, that was just a myth that a bunch of people made up for no reason. Speaking of food, you know what I want to gobble up some more of, Wizzy?
Chapter 24 of Sunlight Sliders?
Yep. Unfortunately, we've already finished that one.
Aww.
So we're gonna have to go through for a bit of a different one this time. We're gonna have to continue a very similar story to that one. I'll give you the Celestia Code by Esau. So last time on the Celestia Code, I think it was like, Twilight was mentoring Kashari, and they went to sleep at some point, and the Twilight fought Nightmare Moon, and then talked with Luna or something like that. And then there was they'll wake up. They woke up, and the changelings were turning more and more into ponies, I guess, or something like that. And then Chrysalis came in, and for one reason or another, she got all pissy, and then she said, "I'm gonna tell you about my past." Alright, Wizzy. Let's not dilly-dally any longer like we've been doing so much. I want to get through 2 chapters this time. Alright, let's get to reading The Celestia Code by Esau. Chapter 19. Metamorphosis. And then it does Chapter 19, Metamorphosis again. Chrysalis walked over to the bas-relief of Celestia and gazed at it for a moment.
I remember seeing this when I was little. The ponies here were afraid of her then.
I bit my lip to hold in the flood of questions that immediately leaped into my mind. I had the distinct feeling that Chrysalis wasn't one to be pushed into anything. If she had been here when the city was inhabited, that meant she was old.
Ooh.
And that meant she was experienced and dangerous. More dangerous, actually.
I actually like that difference between, the connotations of being old in the pony world versus being old in our world. You're seen as experienced and dangerous because, you're not going to be getting much frailer, I'd expect, when you're Chrysalis.
Yeah. She already looks so stick-like.
True.
Your dear mentor
Chrysalis looked back over her shoulder at me.
Was feared and hated.
I really hoped that there was some balm for badly chewed lips somewhere in our provisions. After receiving no reply from me, the changeling queen turned back to the carving.
I was as beautiful as her once. Would you believe it?
Okay, Twilight. Say that she's still as beautiful.
Come on. And then maybe
That'll
flirt
get
a
you
little
in
bit
her
more.
good graces.
Maybe I can ship them?
Ooh.
No, I can't do it.
Chrysalis has also fucked her brother, so...
What? Oh, no, that actually makes sense. They're a hive.
Oh, I meant Twilight's brother.
Oh, I forgot about that guy. I thought you were talking about her own.
No.
Oh,
I mean, maybe,
was a
but no.
Big misunderstanding.
Yeah, woof. Glad we cleared that up. Of course I wouldn't. I managed not to snort in disbelief. Chrysalis ran a hoof through the lank, greasy strands that served her as a mane. in grotesque parody of a gesture I'd seen Rarity do 1,000 times.
At that time, the city was one of the jewels of the world. The unicorns created such grand artwork, sculpture, poetry, and music that they were renowned for it. But what made them rich was the trade. Magic-made material and items flowed out, and food and gold flowed in. Caravans came with treasures from beyond the seas to trade. A guildmaster could command a cart full of emeralds for a single perfect amulet. It was...
There was a sudden hitch in her voice.
Paradise.
She turned back to me and said,
I was born to a noble family.
She watched me carefully for any reaction. I kept my expression neutral as I replied, normal birth?
Yes.
She grinned.
Perfectly normal, but not average. I was exceptional. Gifted, even among the most powerful magicians of the city. I suppose you might understand what that was like.
I nodded cautiously.
But I was also a great beauty. I was athletic, poised, graceful, admired and desired by the ponies around me. You will just have to imagine that, I suppose.
Ooh, a sudden dig at Twilight?
I think so.
Come on, even Jigsaw wants Twilight. You can't act like you're the only one who has admirers.
Her barb missed the mark. I had never been obsessed with shallow nonsense of that sort. I imagine she only said it out of habit anyways.
I really like how they write Twilight as, like, she's writing this whole thing as her point of view. Because, like, I'd imagine she was probably offended by that remark.
Yeah. She probably was.
I began to create my own unique spells when I was still quite young. Art and adornment was my specialty. I made living jewelry, makeup, and clothing. Amulets that created illusory costumes for masked balls, and ones that hid flaws for the vain and less perfect than I. And then I created my masterpiece. A spell that would change not just a pony's appearance, but their very substance. There would be no more ugliness, no flaws. The richest city in the world would have citizens to match its beauty.
She didn't quite go into mwahaha mode, but there was a definite, unrestrained passion in her voice.
Can you guess what happened then, Twilight Sparkle?
I swear I wasn't trying to be flippant, but sometimes these things just pop out of my mouth. All of the diet and fashion magazines went out of business. Chrysalis flared her nostrils at me and narrowed her eyes.
Come on, you gotta take a joke if you can deal them, Chrysalis.
Yeah.
Not a very good guesser, are you? I'll give you another hint. A young magical prodigy creates an amazing new spell for the benefit of all the ponies around her, and perhaps a bit of fame. She directly touches the great source of magic that flows through the universe, its very life-blood, and molds it in a new way, never before known to pony kind.
She flipped her tail, brushing my wing tips with its end. Saucy.
Take another guess, princess.
Oh no. It couldn't be. Not her. I guess my expression showed my dismay because Chrysalis laughed in delight.
Yes, yes! Late to the party, Twilight Sparkle, but at least you finally arrived.
What? How?
Very good questions indeed.
Your face is a question. Chrysalis smiled at me again, and her gaze held a hint of madness.
But first, I'd like to ask one of my own.
Sure, go ahead.
What did the ponies of this place hate above all else?
Non-unicorns? I hadn't put much thought into my answer. I was sure Chrysalis was just playing with me, and I just wanted to keep her talking.
Mud stompers and featherbrains? Oh no, the unicorns just despised them as lesser beings. Felt pity for them, even.
Chrysalis backed away toward the wall and continued.
No, what they hated more than anything else was her.
She whirled and slammed a hoof into the neck of the stone image of Celestia.
She dared to preach equality of the tribes, and even worse, she was the very living symbol of that equality. In her own body, she polluted and debased the superior blood of the unicorns with that earth pony and Pegasus. She was an abomination.
Oh, when you put it like that, okay, I get the hate.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it just talking about her being an alicorn, or did she have friends who were Earth Pony and Pegasus?
Yeah, she probably did. Both.
Yeah, probably. I wasn't sure if there was her famous squad from back in the day or something.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get that.
Aw,
unless we're talking about Luna and Star Swirl. But
yo, the squad.
Yeah. The gang's all here. Star Swirl squad actually consisted of all those guys. Earth ponies, unicorns, the like.
So he had a squad?
Yeah. The Pillars of Equestria. We've talked about
them. Yeah.
Yeah. We should read a story featuring those guys.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I could see the chain of events running forward. I understood what Chrysalis had gone through upon her ascension. Instead of being welcomed and guided by a beloved mentor and celebrated by her friends and family. Oh, sweet sun and moon, no.
Oh, yes. When I was transported to that place, that celestial realm, she was there to greet me. The great enemy of my tribe. I had no idea what was happening to me, and of course I wouldn't listen to her. But that didn't stop my ascension.
Okay, so do you know what happened to Twilight when she ascended into being an alicorn?
She did some weird dimensional stuff, I remember.
She blew up, and then she reappeared in the celestial plane, or whatever it's called. And it's just a bunch of floating stars and shit. And she sees Celestia, and Celestia's like, dude, you got, I've been watching you. And then Celestia's all like, now it's time to fulfill your destiny. And Twilight ascends into being an alicorn. So that's basically what's happened to Chrysalis here.
Oh, because what did she do that turned her into an alicorn? Was it the invention that she was doing?
No, well, Chrysalis maybe. Twilight just fixed a spell.
Yeah,
and learned everything she could about friendship.
But with
Chrysalis, on the other hand,
were they just saying here that it was after she was she began to create her own unique spells?
Yeah, I think that's probably what did it. Yeah, it's probably just because she performed a great feat of magic and all that.
Okay. That makes sense.
When I reappeared in the city, I was the living image of the thing most feared and hated by every pony I'd ever known. If they hadn't been so stunned by shock and horror, they might have killed me before I got away. Fortunately, my own great spell came to my aid, and I hid among them until...
She trailed off and her neck bent. Her lank mane slid down across her face, and she stood silently. You may not believe this, but I am so sorry. That shouldn't have happened to any pony, I said with utmost sincerity. She lifted her head to look at me, and there was quite a bit more than a hint of madness in her gaze.
Oh, but the best is yet to come.
She slowly walked forward as she spoke, and I couldn't help backing away.
Such a plain mare as yourself may not understand, but I had my choice of the stallions of the city, and the one I claimed was magnificent. He was the first son of the highest of families, and we were to be married. But we couldn't wait, you see. He was so handsome and I was so beautiful, and we were so perfect together.
I don't understand, I gasped.
We didn't wait. We shared our love, and on the day I ascended, I was already with foal.
Oh. I didn't know what was coming next, but I knew it wasn't going to be good.
I went to him. I knew he would understand. He loved me.
Oh, yeah, not good. Chrysalis backed me against the wall by then, and I was having serious doubts about her sanity.
After everything that Chrysalis has already done in the pony world, she's like, you know, she might not be so sane, guys.
I don't know if I should trust this person. I readied myself to teleport away in an instant, but she turned away from me and went on as she walked aimlessly around the room.
His hatred was as great as his love. He could have shouted for help, but he was a brave fool. He tried to hold me, pin me with his magic, even though he knew how strong I was, or had been.
Chrysalis turned her steps back towards the image of Celestia and glared at it as if were her long-ago lover.
As an alicorn, I was even stronger. He fought, but I broke free. He tried to. And I...
She lunged forward and slammed her horn into the carving just behind Celestia's shoulder, where her heart would be. Then her head fell away, her horn scraping out of the divot she'd made in the stone. She stood silently, swaying slightly, and making an eerie, keening noise that I desperately hoped I would never hear again. I wondered if she were truly mad. None of what she'd told me lined up with the evidence I'd found in the city. Okay, maybe the part about the bigoted unicorns hating an alicorn that suddenly appeared in their midst was believable, but the artisans and trade? Everything I'd seen indicated that the ponies of the city merely took what they wanted via their dark crystal. Wait. There had been a book I'd catalogued in the vault in Canterlot about a trading empire I'd never heard of before. There were caravan routes in the south, and a port town where the hayseed swamps were now. Oh, why hadn't I read the whole thing when I'd had the chance, and I was afraid of how she might react. but anything was better than the horrible noise she was making. My God, shut up.
I don't know how I'm supposed to mimic the sound she's making, you know? I can't be a good voice for her right now, and I feel left out.
So I asked her the most obvious question. If you became an alicorn, then how did you... Chrysalis shook herself like an old sick mule trying to shrug off a biting fly.
How did I... what? Survive? Oh no, that was simple. I fled the city and took refuge in the abandoned gem mines to the west. With my magic, it was easy. I planned to stay there, stealing what I needed until my foal was born and old enough to travel. Then I would go north to where the other alicorns lived, Celestia and Luna. They must be the true superior race, if that was what I had become. If I was evil, I would revel in it.
She began to chuckle, and I figured out pretty quickly that her mirth might go on for an appalling length of time if I didn't interrupt. What happened? Why are you...
Yes.
Chrysalis hissed in irritation.
It's my story to tell, Twilight Sparkle. Let me tell it in my own time.
Of course. Please go on.
A few months later, something began to affect me. I didn't know what it was at the time. I thought that it might be some of the natural effects of pregnancy. My joints ached and my skin burned. I was so sleepy, nearly all of the time. Then one day I fell unconscious and didn't awaken for a long time. I didn't figure out what had changed me for a long while after that. All I knew was that when I awoke, I was the amazing creature that you see standing in front of you now.
Oh, Chrysalis, that's why they call her that.
Oh. Do you know that horses are pregnant for 10 to 12 months?
Whoa, longer than humans. Wonder about tortoises.
Yep. All right, fine then. Since we're just...
They're not pregnant, I know by that much.
God. Oh yeah, duh. God damn it, Wizzy. After mating, the gestation period is from 30 days to 3 years.
Oh my god.
That's wild.
Tortoises got a story.
Mm-hmm. But you did find out why it happened, didn't you? I asked, trying to ignore the acid tone of her words.
Oh, yes, I did.
Chrysalis smiled, or maybe she was snarling. It was difficult to tell.
You see, the great magicians of the city had perfected a spell, or perhaps it was a device. I never knew exactly what it was. Something, at any rate, that made trading and most labor unnecessary. It could be operated by any pony simply by wishing. Anything they wanted, delivered in an instant.
Uh-oh. This was getting to be familiar now. But she said she didn't know what it was. That was something, at least.
But there was one little trick that they needed to operate the spell. Any pony who wanted to partake of the wondrous cornucopia had to be very good at visualizing what they wanted, believing in it. Making it live in their minds was a necessity, and so all the citizens were trained in that skill, making thoughts into reality. What a wonder!
Okay, so she knew. At least she knew the name. but she didn't seem to know how it really operated.
There was just one little problem.
Chrysalis continued.
Whoever built the thing was sloppy. It didn't just take in a pony's thoughts when they wished for something. It did it all the time, and it leaked. Do you see now?
So gross.
Ugh. It's like leaked
Thought
fluid all over the
juice.
floor. That was the worst part.
Yucky.
Do you see now?
I just shook my head.
No, of course not. Let me spell it out for you.
A, B... she said, condescendingly.
A short while after this amazing device began to operate, the city was shocked by my ascension. They were horrified by the murder of one of their most honored citizens by the monster that I had become. An alicorn, an abomination, rather. A monster, a parasite, an imposter among them.
No, don't do it, Wizzy.
Dun.
Nice.
That is what they all thought of me, Twilight Sparkle. That is what they all believed.
Oh, stars above. I saw it then. The dark crystal was even more evil and dangerous than I had known.
Oh my.
Chrysalis purred.
I do believe you're beginning to get the picture. They did this to me. I became what I am because of them. When I awoke and crawled out of the chrysalis I had been wrapped in, I nearly went mad.
Nearly.
Get her, Twilight.
But I was left with 3 things from my past life.
She went on.
The magic of my greatest spell was now innate in me. I could change my form with only a thought, and my only regret. That became part of me, too. My lost love. The desire for that love. It had become a hunger. One that I have never been able to satisfy. Ooh.
It's a really dope origin.
Yeah. But I'm wondering what happened to the baby.
Yeah, I think we're about to get that.
Oh no.
And that's only 2. I nearly bit my tongue after saying it. What she told me made me wish I'd bitten it before.
Oh, yes. Mustn't forget the most important thing.
She leaned in close and gave me a vicious grin.
The joy of birth.
Birth? I was having a hard time breathing. You're full?
Foal? No. My spawn. Hundreds and hundreds of them. All like me. All with my power and my hunger.
I think she just used her changeling army to fucking kill that town.
That would have been nice. They deserved it.
All those children just getting slaughtered.
Hey, no one said there were children up there.
Actually, it's been proven that there are children there.
I don't buy it.
Well, they had a children's book about a child. Albeit a racist child, sure.
Yeah, racism. That kind of beats out the child aspect and makes them deserve death now.
Wizzy's got some opinions, and
I'm the biggest ally ever.
I wanted to throw up. You're the reason they died out, aren't you? I knew it wasn't wise, but I just couldn't stop myself. You and your descendants, invaded, devoured them. So, yeah, I guess got that answer.
Oh my
Or not.
god.
Chrysalis laughed musically.
Oh, no, no, no. Well, not exactly, anyway. No, we just took their love. We took every last drop. And when it was gone, what do you suppose happened to a town full of powerful, arrogant unicorns who had not one whit of love left in their souls?
Without love, there can be no friendship, no compassion, no mercy, I said numbly.
Indeed.
The Changeling Queen's smile was a horrid imitation of kindliness as she spoke her final words on the subject.
It only took them a few days to destroy each other. I didn't kill them, Twilight Sparkle. They did it to themselves.
Yes and no.
It's like she just takes all the food away from their place and then they starve to death and she's like, I didn't kill them. They did it to themselves by not, I don't know, getting more food.
Yeah, it was on them.
Yeah.
All right, that was chapter 19. The Metamorphosis.
Whoa!
Ramping up. All right.
Man, I really enjoyed that origin story. I was expecting a good origin story, but I don't know. This was above my expectations.
Totally. That was a really cool origin story for her. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Let's move on then, shall we?
Oh, what's with the sudden sense of urgency?
Well, I just want to get this episode over with, you know.
All right.
With chapter 20, A Sudden Sense of Urgency. Oh. And then it does chapter 20, A Sudden Sense of Urgency. They had flaws, serious flaws, sure, but they didn't deserve to die, I began. Chrysalis shrugged.
Then they shouldn't have killed each other. Pretty simple, Twilight.
Come on, I thought you were the smart one. I wanted to argue as dozens of rebuttals leaped into mind, but I could see it would be useless. So a debate was out. I shuffled my wings back down to smoothness and shrugged. I suppose. Anyway, it was a long time ago. Just save up all your horror and have screaming nightmares tonight, I told myself. That'll get it out of your system. Then we got a little flip note.
Flip note.
We're calling it a flip note now.
Okay. I like Flipnote Studio.
Yeah, you got it, man. Yes, sometimes I'm sarcastic and snarky to myself.
Yes,
she said, tilting her head and giving me a considering gaze.
So that brings us to now. Now, my general out there is nearly equine, and I want to know why and how. You say it's honest and open friendship, but knowing what happened here more than 1,000 years ago, are you so sure? Are you sure it's not belief?
The old spell you mentioned? What are the chances that it's still working after all this time? Chrysalis grinned.
You are truly amazing, Princess. So strong, so clever, and yet you are the most terrible liar I've ever met. You couldn't manage to deceive a new-hatched grub.
Okay, well, your whole species is about lying, okay? Obviously, you'd be able to, figure that out, even from hatching. I guess I need more practice, I grumbled. She laughed, And for the first time that day, it sounded like simple amusement. Untainted by any baggage.
First rule, if you don't think you can sell the lie convincingly, just snort or roll your eyes. A simple angry word will do. Most ponies like to avoid conflict and won't push. It wouldn't work on me, obviously, but it's still a good tactic.
Thanks, I guess, I said, frowning. It's not like I plan on using the information, but it is interesting. What's the second rule?
Change the subject, of course.
Chrysalis laughed again.
Maybe all you do need is practice.
I grimaced. It had been worth a try, but I wasn't surprised Chrysalis hadn't let me get away with it. All right. Yes, I know the cornucopia is still working. It gave me a very nice apple when I asked politely. Do you still use it? Chrysalis snorted derisively.
It can't create love, and it's dangerous. We stay away from the city unless there is a compelling reason to come here.
Well, I still don't think it has much, if anything, to do with the general becoming a pony. It took the thoughts of thousands of unicorns to change you, right?
Yes. And it took a very long time for me to transform.
Right. I nodded. And for Celestia, it's only been a few days. Chrysalis lifted an eyebrow.
On a first-name basis with my most feared commander, are you? How nice.
I paused, just a second before replying. Yes, it is nice, Chrysalis. I almost got her to sing campfire songs with us last night. Chrysalis blinked, and then squinted at me.
Either you've gotten much better at lying in the last few minutes, or whatever is changing her body is also affecting her mind.
Yeah, it's called love, idiot.
Yeah, you stupid dummy, dumbass, dumb, stupid idiot, dummy.
Dumcilis, Chrysaldum, something like
Chris
that.
is stupid.
Hey!
I said almost. She's still the same steel-minded officer inside. She just has friends now. And ponies sometimes do dumb things for their friends that they might not do ordinarily. Chrysalis snickered.
Oh, I've twisted enough stallions around my hoof to know that's true.
That's not quite the same. Never mind.
That's kind
It
of
was
the
time
same.
to cut to the chase.
Come on, Celestia is totally, doing this for her bae.
Look, not that I disagree with you there. But also, don't you think it's just kind of cute that it's more of a friendship thing? I think if it was just for her bae, she wouldn't do it around Twilight.
No, but I mean, there's a lot of this that she's doing for Jigsaw, so... I mean, I feel like the difference here is, her sexually seducing random stallions versus, her falling in love with Jigsaw, you know?
Sure.
But yeah.
That checks out.
I think it also makes a lot of sense with her being, a group of people at a campfire.
Yeah. It was time to cut to the chase. You're interested in all of this because you want to go back to how you were before, right? She looked at me coolly for a moment before replying.
The possibility had occurred to me,
she said.
If my general and a captain can begin to change in just a few days, then surely I can do the same.
You'd give up ruling your swarm that casually?
Look at me.
Look at me. She hissed through bared fangs.
I'm a decayed husk of what I once was. Would I give up being queen of a festering hole in the ground? This
She reared up, and green magical fire swirled around her body.
This is what I lost!
She was right. She had been astoundingly beautiful once. Her coat was lavender with subtle shades of blue, like the ocean on a cloudy day. Her bearing was haughty and imperious, but she was no less stunning. Hers was a cold beauty. Her cutie mark was a cluster of 3 asymmetrical stars of 4, 5, and 6 points in colors that complemented her coat. The green fire blossomed again almost immediately, returning Chrysalis to her debased form. Her head dropped and she panted as if the transformation had cost her a large amount of effort.
I never can hold it for long.
She gasped.
I can be anything but myself. A truly vile curse, don't you think?
Yeah, I feel you. Oh yeah, it's a cliff note. Footnote, bookmark, flip note. I thought it was perfectly understandable, given the obvious attitude of the ponies that had unconsciously directed the magic that had caused her metamorphosis. There was no need to drag superstitious nonsense like curses into it. Yeah, sure, buddy. I made a non-committal sound and nodded. You were very beautiful, I said. It was just a filler conversation to me. I was trying to buy some time to think.
And with your help, I could be again.
And with your help, you can help Chrysalis become beautiful once again.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an ad for a Chrysalis doll that you dress up.
What if she turns into her OG self and then just fades to dust because she's so old?
Oh no, it's like a spoiler alert for Tangled. Mother Gothel.
Oh.
All her aging finally caught up with her.
She said. When I didn't reply immediately, she went on.
It would be advantageous for both of us. You will eliminate the threat of changelings forever simply by becoming my friend. It shouldn't be difficult. We have many things in common. We are both royalty, magic users of great skill and power.
Maybe you could give me some fashion tips as well?
Of course!
She stopped and dropped her phony half-smile.
Perhaps you will tell me what is wrong with my plan, then.
I sighed. I was stuck. Celestia could have phrased everything just right. She could have massaged the words that needed to be said into something soft and pleasant. Maybe with a few centuries of practice, I'd be able to do the same thing on the spur of the moment. Unfortunately, right then, I was stuck with the bare, unvarnished truth. Friendship isn't like a faucet that you can turn on and off anytime you like. Now, I know that... Now that I know what you've been through, I have a great deal of sympathy for you, and that goes a long way toward getting me to forgive you for the things you've done in the past. But even though there are some things about you that I find likable, and I am certainly willing to be your friend, that doesn't mean I am your friend. The real problem is, honestly, I don't think you like me at all. Real friendship is a two-way street.
Oh man, that was honest.
Learning that's one of the things of friendship, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Honesty.
Just the I don't think you like me at all.
We're getting there.
It's like, man, blunt and perfect. Love it, Twilight.
Like
Maybe
Wizzy.
you're better at talking to people than you think.
I see.
I ignored the icy cold tone of her voice and floundered on. And there's something else. You said that if you regain your original body, that will end the changeling threat. How does that work exactly?
Without a queen, they will have no direction.
Chrysalis said, carelessly with a toss of her head.
No cohesion, no hope. They will eventually starve, be killed, or simply die. Without me to produce more of them, they will be extinct in a generation.
Nice.
That's just her genuine, honest response.
Nice. Nice.
So your sympathy now extends to the hordes that would have devoured your kingdom.
I honestly don't know. If Celestia and Kshari had suddenly shown up in Equestria, I would have blasted them without hesitation or remorse. But now... I groped for the right words for a moment as Chrysalis stood there, looking down her snout at me. I've seen the good in them, and yes, they are friends, okay? Of a sort, at the very least. And that seems to be enough to lift the curse they've inherited from you. So, what about the rest of your hive? Don't they deserve the same chance at redemption, too?
If Twilight had studied insect queens, she would know that really they just elect a new one if the current one leaves.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So
if they
fine,
elect
Twilight.
a new one, are they going to turn into her? Or is that going to work?
Well, I mean, yes, something like that. I mean, isn't that what happened with Thorax?
Yeah, but this isn't that isn't canon. This isn't canon to that. That isn't canon to this.
Well, I mean,
It seems to work on different rules, man. It works on different, but surprisingly similar rules.
Okay, I guess in this specific fanfiction, it doesn't hold to the canon of the show that they replace their leader just like an insect hive would.
I mean, this is the only hive they have. And I guess maybe in the show too, but we don't know for certain. I think in the show there are probably other changeling hives, but we only know of one of them.
Oh, huh.
I've seen the good in them, and yes, they are friends, okay? Of a sort, at the very least. And that seems to be enough to lift the curse they've inherited from you. So, what about the rest of your hive? Don't they deserve the same chance at redemption too? Chrysalis glared at me, and then, without warning, suddenly whirled and stomped out of the library. I followed her into the street where she leaped into the air and flew away without a word. I stood there, watching her get smaller and smaller until she was lost in the sky. Good going, Sparkle, I thought. You served that proud and selfish queen just the right amount of condescension. Any more, and she would have tried to rip your head off. Any less, and she might have stayed to talk. Jigsaw and the changelings had seen the queen's furious exit from where they had been waiting down the street. They approached slowly, except for Jigsaw, who cantered up to me and skidded to a stop.
Is everything all right, Twilight?
I lectured her.
You? Oh, stars above, really? Did you... I mean, how bad was it?
Bad enough.
Road apples.
She cursed quietly. Yep. By that time, the changelings had arrived, and the general simply cocked her head at me. I shook my head. No, she didn't leave any instructions for you guys. She was in a bit of a hurry to get a long way away from me.
Can we expect an attack? Celestia asked.
Well, that's a military pony for you. Always concerned about the most direct form of diplomacy. I wouldn't be surprised. She was pretty mad. Cesaresia considered for a moment, then said, "With your magic and my knowledge of tactics, we should be safe enough if we prepare well." That brought a hiss of angry surprise from the drones. Oh, right, they're drones. Cesaresia didn't bother turning to face them when she spoke. "I will not strike at my queen, but neither will I allow her to harm my new friend, my new tribe. You can go tell her that if you wish." I turned to them and pointed a hoof to the one on the left. "Yes, you. Go and convey the General's message. And add that Twilight Sparkle is still willing to try and find some way to be friends. Got that?" I didn't wait for an answer. I pointed to the other drone. "You, stay here in case we need to send another message."
And me?
Kashari asked. That was a very good question. What do you want to do? No, scratch that. What do you think would be the best thing to do? She thought about it for a long time.
I will return to the hive in order to know my queen's wishes,
she said, sounding not all that happy about her decision. I just nodded. I didn't trust myself to speak. When Kashari had gone, I told the remaining drone to wait in the library until I sent for her. Then I led Jigsaw and Cesaresia towards the center of the town. At a gallop. "Okay, Ceci, I hope your decision back there wasn't some sort of deception, because I'm pretty sure that what we're going to attempt now would cause Chrysalis to completely lose it." "Oh? You're not just here for the broken pots? What a surprise. And, by the way, I'd prefer it if you didn't call me Ceci."
Yeah, that's a pretty dumb name.
Yeah. "If I need to scream for your help, 5 syllables is way too long. Deal with it." Yeah, okay, but just,
Call her General or something, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It's a good idea. "Will there be screaming?" "There usually is. Maybe this time will be different." "Maybe you should fill in the details for me," she suggested. "No time. In short, there's a gigantic crystal filled with dark magic under the city center. It's still active, but it's defective, unstable, and really, really dangerous. We're going to try to deactivate it," I explained between breaths. "It must have been there for a very long time. Why the sudden urgency?" "Because it responds to the thoughts of the ponies around it, and if Chrysalis starts a magical slugfest with me, the thing might react badly, very badly."
"So,"
Jigsaw interjected,
"you figured out how to drain the crystal without blowing up the mesa and poisoning the whole desert?"
Cesaresia made a sort of strangled noise, which I ignored. I have a working hypothesis," I said.
"That's not a yes!"
Jigsaw pointed out. I was hoping you wouldn't notice. I was grinning like an idiot for some reason. Sometimes I react strangely to stress. I threw open the doors to the cornucopia building, and we galloped inside, skidding to a stop in front of the pedestal. I paused for a second to slow my breathing, and then said, "May I have a 1/4 mile of 7-strand copper cable about the diameter of a Bitcoin, please?"
"Bitcoin? Oh no! I didn't realize she was a crypto bro."
The coil of wire that appeared still had a Baltimore Light and Power Inventory label on it. Jigsaw and Celestia moved the heavy coil to one side to clear the pedestal for my next order, and I continued stealing valuable equipment from all the cities of Equestria that were in range. I made a mental note to try and reimburse any companies or individuals that had suffered unexplained thefts of like items on that day when I got back home. It was going to completely mess up my budget. I double-checked the pile, and when I was satisfied that I hadn't forgotten anything, I pressed the two bejeweled fruit on the pedestal that opened the secret stairway and motioned for Jigsaw to precede me. Down we go. I'll teleport the stuff down to us. When we get to the bottom, remember about the traps.
Weren't there also traps on the stairs? I thought so, and they were talking about, like, ceiling alligators or something.
No, that's a daring do thing.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, if you go back into the earlier episodes, we talk about that at least twice. Why don't you just teleport us all? Celestia asked. The crystal doesn't play well with normal magic. I did teleport out of the cavern, but since I'll have to, translate the matrices for the spell on the fly, it will be too dangerous to risk teleporting living beings into that environment, I explained. Oh, that reminds me, don't use your magic down there or the crystal will kill you. You are completely crazy, she said. It's the world that's crazy, I snorted, pushing her ahead of me towards the stairs. Sometimes I think I'm the only sane pony in it. Author's note. Thanks to Gogito for his excellent help editing this chapter.
Man, is Twilight going like as crazy as Chrysalis now? Dang.
Maybe it's Twilight that turns evil.
Oh, that would be the twist I did not see coming.
Yeah. Well, she does kind of look kind of evil in the little poster,
That does kind of look like a fascist propaganda poster.
Yeah. Huh. All right, so that was the Celestia Code, Chapter 20, a sudden sense of urgency.
A surging sense of suddency.
I gotta say, I am getting a surging sense of suddency from this.
Yeah, it seems like the deadline is really picking up for when they have to take care of that thing.
Yep. This is gonna be a bit tough. I could definitely, we're getting to the ending here pretty soon. Yep. We've got, fuck me, if the last two episodes of this are going to be, or if the next two episodes are going to be 2 chapters each, then yeah, that's it. We just got 2 episodes left.
Man.
Yep. I wonder how that'll pair with whatever it's called. Sunlight Siders.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Both of our multi-chapter stories are really picking up at the moment.
Definitely. Very glad that we are doing this. Hopefully we can get back to these soon because, I really want to see how these end. I want to see them end before October.
Yeah, I want to see what role Jigsaw plays in all of this because she needs to do something big near the end. Something big.
Yeah. Either killing herself, sacrificing herself, or turning evil. Evil yeah. Jigsaw.
Bad ending for Jigsaw no matter what, baby.
Let's go. I need Jigsaw to fucking destroy the world.
She sacrifices herself by becoming the new queen of the Changeling Hive.
She has an Indiana Jones type death where she tries to grab the cornucopia or whatever, and then the cornucopia goes, no, blah, and then she, her entire body just gets splattered all across the world. Because teleportation magic or whatever with this thing.
Oh my god.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I'd be okay with that ending.
I think it would be cool. We need a story where a villain dies.
Yes.
Yeah? I want to just have like a gut-wrenching scream at the end that we can hear you do.
It's going to be like, whoa! That's my Irish scream.
That's it. That's the one. Well, bit of a longer one today. Well, actually, it's not that much longer than the Sliders episode.
Yeah, it's probably just going to end up being like an hour long by the time I'm done with it.
Yeah. Oh, by the time I'm done with you, you're going to be so much shorter than you were.
That's how I got to be so tall. I made everyone else short.
Oh, you're a scary motherfucker.
Yeah.
So you're the reason I'm like this.
Hi, thief.
Alright. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Go subscribe to us on any of the podcast apps that you listen to. We're on YouTube. Did you know that? It's good stuff. And Spotify. We're on Spotify. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff with podcasts or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, thank you all so much for listening. I have been Ross Pitch Shark Hunter. This over here was Wizzy Puff. I'm tired. Good night.
See ya.
Okay, that's it. Okay, 1 second.
Ross, you better not be using performance-enhancing drugs. You know that they banned us from the Fanfiction off last time for that very reason.
Oh boy, I'm gonna read this story so hard. Oh.
Just like snorted something real quick.
I get, performance enhancing drugs is kind of like what my ADHD medicine does.
True!
For this.
Man.